Hi friends, it's Miss Rachel. Our story that I'm going to read to you today is called Library Lion. What do you guys think it's going to be about? Let's look at the cover. There's a lion surrounded by books and some kids who are reading. And we know the title's got Library Lion. Do you think it's about a lion who visits the library? I think so too. Let's see what the lion does at the library. One day, a lion came to the library. He walked right past the circulation desk and up into the stacks. Oh, Lord. The lion wandered all around the library. He sniffed the card catalog. He rubbed his head against the new book collection. Then he padded over to the story corner and went to sleep. No one was sure what to do. There weren't any rules about lions in the library. Set the card catalog, and then he went and rubbed on the new books. And look, he fell asleep. He fell asleep. Soon, it was time for story hour. There weren't any rules about lions at story hour either. The story lady seemed a little nervous, but she read out the first book title in a good, clear voice. The lion looked up. The story lady kept reading. The lion stayed for the next story and the story after that. He waited for another story, but the children began to walk away. Look how good he's listening and sitting. But how you guys are all listening and sitting down for this video. I know you guys are, because you are awesome. Story hour is over, a little girl told him. It's time to go. The lion looked at the children. He looked at the story lady. He looked at the closed books. Then he roared very loud. Roar! Can you guys give me a roar? Do it with me. Ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3. Roar! You guys, you were so loud. You scared Biscuit. He just sat up in his bed. Here's our picture of the lion roaring. Miss Merriweather came striding out of her office. Who is making that noise? She demanded. It's the lion, said Mr. McBee. Miss Merriweather marched over to the lion. If you cannot be quiet, you will have to leave, she said in a stern voice. Those are the rules. The lion kept roaring. He sounded sad. I wonder what a sad one sounds like. Maybe like, roar. Maybe that's what it sounds like. Why don't you guys try? Can you give me a sad roar? That was good. That was a good sad roar. The little girl tugged on Miss Merriweather's dress. If he promises to be quiet, can he come back for story hour tomorrow? She asked. The lion stopped roaring. He looked at Miss Merriweather. Miss Merriweather looked back. Then she said, yes, a nice quiet lion would certainly be allowed to come back for story hour tomorrow. Hooray, said the kids. There he is. The next day, something down my eye. Excuse me. The next day, the lion came back. "You are early," said Miss Merriweather. "Story hour is not until 3 o'clock." The lion didn't budge. "Very well," said Miss Merriweather. "You might as well make yourself useful." She sent him off to dust the encyclopedias until it was time for story hour. There he is meeting her, and there's going to dust the encyclopedias. The next day, the lion came early again. This time, Miss Merriweather asked him to lick all the envelopes for the overdue notices. When a book is overdue, that means you've had it too long at the library and you gotta return it, or else they're gonna charge you. Soon, the lion began doing things without being asked. He dusted the encyclopedias. He licked the envelopes. He let small children stand on his back to reach books on the highest shelves. Then he curled up in the story corner to wait for story hour to begin. He's helping the kids get the big books. Look, there he is all curled up. At first, the people in the library were nervous about the lion, but soon they got used to having him around. In fact, he seemed very well suited for the library. His big feet were quiet on the library floor. He made a comfy backrest for the children at story hour. And he never roared in the library anymore. What a helpful lion, people said. They patted his soft head as he walked by. How did we ever get along without him? Mr. McBee scowled when he heard that. They had always gone along fine before. No lions were needed. Lions, he thought, could not understand rules. They did not belong in the library. One day, after he had dusted all the encyclopedias and licked all the envelopes and helped all the small children, the lion padded down the hall to Miss Merriweather's office to see what else there was to do. There was still some time left before story hour. "Hello, Lion," said Miss Merriweather. "I know something you can do. You can bring a book back into the stacks for me. Let me just get it down from the shelf." Miss Merriweather stepped up onto the step stool. The book was just out of reach. Miss Merriweather stood up on her toes. She stretched out her fingers. "Almost there," she said. Then Miss Merriweather stretched a little too far. I wonder what's going to happen to Miss Merriweather. Let's turn the page and find out. Did Miss Rachel skip a page? Oh, okay. "Ouch," said Miss Merriweather softly. She did not get up. "Mr. McBee," she called after a minute. "Mr. McBee." But Mr. McBee was at the circulation desk. He could not hear her calling. "Lion," said Miss Merriweather, "please go and get Mr. McBee." The lion ran down the hall. "No running," said Miss Merriweather. There he is taking off. The lion put his big front paws up on the circulation desk and looked at Mr. McBee. "Go away, lion," said Mr. McBee. "I'm busy." The lion whined. He pointed his nose down the hall toward Miss Merriweather's office. Mr. McBee ignored him. Finally, the lion did the only thing he could think of to do. He looked Mr. McBee right in the eye. Then he opened his mouth very wide, and he roared the loudest roar he had ever roared in his life. Can you guys help the lion roar with me? All right, when we count to 3, we're going to do the loudest roar we've ever done. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Roar! That was good. We scared Biscuit. He fell asleep, but we just woke him back up. You guys are very good at roaring. Mr. McBee gasped. "You're not being quiet," he said to the lion. "You're breaking the rules." Mr. McBee walked down the hall as fast as he could. The lion did not follow him. He had broken the rules. He knew what that meant. He hung his head and walked toward the doors. Mr. McBee did not notice. "Miss Merriweather," he called as he walked. "Miss Merriweather, the lion broke the rules. The lion broke the rules." Look how he's going out and his head's down. He's sad. He burst into Miss Merriweather's office. She was not in her chair. "Miss Merriweather?" he asked. "Sometimes," said Miss Merriweather, from the floor behind her desk, "there is a good reason to break the rules, even in the library. Now please go call a doctor. I think I've broken my arm." Mr. McBee ran to call a doctor. "No running," Miss Merriweather called after him. He was walking in. He found her. The next day, things were back to normal. Almost. Miss Merriweather's left arm was in a cast. The doctor had told her not to work too hard. "I'll have my lion to help me," Miss Merriweather thought. But the lion did not come to the library that morning. At 3 o'clock, Miss Merriweather walked over to the story corner. The story lady was just beginning a story for the children. The lion was not there. I wonder where the lion is. Where do you guys think he is? Those are some good ideas. Let's find out. Let's see who's right. Ready? People in the library kept looking up from their books and computer screens, hoping they would see a familiar furry face. But the lion did not come that day. The lion did not come the next day, or the day after that. Wonder what he's doing. One evening, Mr. McBee stopped by Miss Merriweather's office on his way out. "Can I do anything for you before I go, Miss Merriweather?" he asked her. "No, thank you," said Miss Merriweather. She was looking out the window. Her voice was very quiet, even for the library. Mr. McBee frowned as he walked away. He thought there probably was something he could do for Miss Merriweather after all. She's staring out the window. Mr. McBee left the library, but he did not go home. He walked around the neighborhood. He looked under cars. He looked behind bushes. He looked in backyards and trash cans and tree houses. He's searching. What do you guys think he's searching for? Maybe he lost a book? Or, you're right. Maybe he's searching for the lion. Finally, he circled all the way back to the library. The lion was sitting outside, looking in through the glass doors. "Hello, Lion," said Mr. McBee. The lion did not turn around. "I thought you might like to know," said Mr. McBee, "that there's a new rule at the library. No roaring aloud unless you have a very good reason. Say if you're trying to help a friend who's been hurt, for example." The lion's ears twitched. He turned around, but Mr. McBee was already walking away. The next day, Mr. McBee walked down the hall to Miss Merriweather's office. "What is it, Mr. McBee?" asked Miss Merriweather in her new, sad, quiet voice. "I thought you might like to know," said Mr. McBee, "that there's a lion in the library." Miss Merriweather jumped up from her chair and ran down the hall. Mr. McBee smiled. "No running," he called after her. Miss Merriweather didn't listen. She's excited because they said there was a lion. I wonder if it's her library lion. It is. Sometimes there was a good reason to break the rules, even in the library. They're all happy that he's back. And there, the library doors. That was our book, friends. Library Lion. Now, one last thing before we go. I wanted to see if you could remember. What part of the book's this? What's this? My back cover. So that means this is the front cover. Very good. And this is my spine. It holds the book together, just like how your spine holds your body together and helps keep it straight. Now then, I hope you liked our book, and I'll see you tomorrow with another one. I love you guys. Bye.